We would be doing you fine people in the audience a disservice if we didn't jump right back into the wildly, wickedly wonderful world of Netflix's Wednesday. So strap yourselves into your electric chairs, light your sticks of dynamite, and let's rock and roll into a few facts you might not have known about Netflix's Wednesday. I'm Joey C. Let's go! Where better to start than the titular Wednesday herself? Burton wanted Jenna Ortega over anyone, and his vision was more than 2020. Not only was the dry-humored actress compared to the gothic princess throughout her life, she met with the director over Zoom in complete horror getup, blood and all. Once she got her hand on the role, Ortega was a piranha in the water. With a vicious glee, she tackled all the skills her character needed to possess. To start, she learned how to play the cello to an impressive degree, even though she had never picked up the instrument before. She took German lessons for a scene that lasted almost exactly 20 seconds. She even signed up for kickboxing and fencing classes just in case. Oh, and she decided to do all her own stunts. All of her preparation can be felt on screen, breathing new life into Wednesday, making the character a more active participant in her story. We can thank Doctor Who for knowing not to trust stone angels. It also led to a whole generation of people who are probably really good at staring contests. One of whom I can assume is Ortega herself. Not because she's afraid of a few weeping angels, but because Burton asked her specifically not to blink while playing Wednesday. Meaning throughout the first season, she only blinks a handful of times, when Wednesday is startled or hurt. Characters who don't blink can be found all throughout media, be it an adolescent android in AI, a serial-killing liquid metal robot in Terminator 2, or just an actual serial killer in Silence of the Lambs. Not blinking can be used to evoke a feeling of unease and making a character seem inhumane. But for Wednesday specifically, the effect does more than make her a shark in the pond. If you didn't know, the Addams Family started as a comic in a newspaper.
More on that later.
And Burton was trying to infuse some of the comic energy into this show, and her not blinking just adds to his overall plan. Just mentioning Hannibal wafts a bergamot aroma into the air, or it could be Thing hiding nearby. But while we're on the fan favorite Fiend, did you know that he is done almost entirely with practical effects and makeup? Sure, they had to key out the 6'2" magician that is Victor Dorobantu, but beyond that, his real physical hand was on set with all the actors making the sassy signs and snaps, a feat that was harder on the makeup department than on the VFX artists at times, mainly due to the extensive tattoos Dorobantu had on his hands during filming, but the man was determined to make Thing feel as fleshed out as possible. The thing is, set design can be overlooked. It's an art all to itself, and because it is designed to the background, we can forget how much effort can be put into those walls we see passed by. So here's a chance to gush about Mark Scruton's work at designing the Nevermore Academy, starting with Wednesday and Enid's iconic webbed mirror. Wanting a diegetic reason to split the room in half by the use of color, the decision that Enid colored the windows does this perfectly. Moving on to Nevermore itself, the soul is from Normies for Outcasts and Outliers is infused with the very essence of its residents. He has stated in many interviews that he got the inspiration from Victorian, Ottoman, Moorish, and Gothic architecture, and not to mention the original Addams Family house exterior. Sense of scale is super important for making the awe-inspiring. For example, if I told you that our sun, in all its massive glory, was but a medium-sized ball of plasma, that wouldn't mean much. But when I add the fact that it would take over 1 million Earths to fill the volume of our sun, maybe you'll get the sense of scale. Now, the actor who plays Lurch, George Burcia, stands at an outstanding 6'6". The handsome half-dead Romanian butler looks his stature, but keep in mind that just about 1% are even over 6'4". Now to bring it all home, Burcia is to date the shortest actor ever to play Lurch. He's 3 inches shy of the OG Theodore Crawford Cassidy, and a whole 1.5 feet under the tallest Carol Stryken. Now to be fair, what little time he has to shine, this dwarf star Lurch is as bright as his brethren, and still looms over the rest. Needing no further ado, Christina Ricci takes the plant by the stem as the normie dorm mother Thornhill. And it's law, of course, that I tell you she also played Wednesday in her youth, but you already knew that. But she offers so much more than nostalgia bait as the secret thorn in Ortega's Wednesday's side. Being the one behind the many plots and murders around the Academy, she also was the cleanup hitter for the production. Originally, there was a whole other character being played by Thora Birch. After having filmed the majority of her scenes, a personal matter arose and she sadly had to leave. It's a shame, but with every storm, there comes a rainbow. But soon after, Ricci was brought in to fill the gaps. Sure, a lot of her shots were shot in front of a screen or her alone in the shot, but the Addams alum is a very welcomed addition. From frightening stars to everyone's cool aunt, Weems has an almost unexplainable charm and vibe that keeps us on our toes every scene she finds her carefully manicured fingers on. This is in part from Gwendolyn Christie's fantastic acting, and from the character's construction from the get-go. Being clothed in gray works threefold. Not only is it an understated success in fashion, but a statement on her character, doing not-so-good things for good reasons. Lastly, she is built from the ground up as a reference to the Hitchcock film Birds, looking very similar to a one Melanie Daniels. The hair, the outfit, it's a dead ringer. But before we move on, there's something we should get straight. Weems isn't new to the Addams family world either. The original Weems was a babysitter in the comics, and that's where the writers found her when making the show, meaning Weems is as much principal as she is a chaperone. In The White Raven, she can be seen watching Wednesday closely. Maybe because she's happy to see her break through her shell. Maybe it's because she's dancing like a teenage goo-goo muck, a dance everyone is raving about. So let's talk about that. Ortega's arm-pumping, body-flailing Wednesday shuffle has some pretty deep-cut inspirations for music and Addams fans alike, starting with the more obvious ones and going from there. Ortega said that she looked at performances like Susie Sue to inspire her choreographed dance. Susie Sue is the lead singer of an English goth punk band called the Banshees. But Ortega didn't stop there. She jumped all the way back to 1964 to see a little Lisa Loring dancing with the 6'9" Lurch. In the original series, in the episode Lurch Learns to Dance, we get to see the original Wednesday Shuffle, which would over time crystallize into Jenna Ortega's creepy shuffle, man. It's fantastic to watch. Did somebody say Lurch? Because this formidable fellow has been an Addams family favorite since the original comics, meaning it's quite sad we never got to see him in the weather vane. Why, you may ask, are these two seemingly unrelated thoughts mashed together? Because that little coffee house is much more than it seems. Starting with the name. Weathervane is the name of the school newspaper where Charles Addams first formed his characters. Publishing his comics in the small student paper helped form the creepy and crawly characters we've all come to know and love. It's only reasonable that Wednesday's first frolic in the normie world is where she was first formulated. And let's not forget Tyler's hello. Quote, "You rang?" A direct quote to Lurch's signature line to those who come to the Addams family manor. So pay homage for a cup of coffee at the newspaper that built the idols of Charles Addams. The Garden State is the butt of many jokes. Maybe it is so close to its big brother New York. Maybe because it just got off the wrong foot with the rest of the Union. In any case, New Jersey is home to a lot of talented individuals, and we can't forget that. The likes of Meryl Streep, Bruce Springsteen, and Frank the Sinatra. It's no joke. Nor should it be much of a surprise that Charles Addams, the creator of the Addams family, was born on its soil. And in honor of his native state, the spooky family he made are all just the same. Don't believe me? Well, on the specifically made limo in Wednesday, we can see the license plate is registered in no other state than New Jersey. Did you know that Wednesday is derived from the Germanic god Odin? How? Well, forget all about what you've learned from the Nordic gods of the MCU. A lot of mythology is seen through a Greco-Roman lens. Odin was sometimes pronounced Woden, and to honor the big daddy of the Norse, a day was given just to him, making Wednesday a pretty important day. Even now, the hump day is used for some pretty important things, such as Ortega announcing she would play Wednesday on a Wednesday. The filming wrapped March 30th, 2022. What day was that? A Wednesday. And finally, the show was released November 23rd. A Wednesday, making Wednesday the most Wednesday show that has ever Wednesdayed. Wandering through the halls of Nevermore, we can stumble into the extremely decorated office of Principal Weems. And there is a lot to talk about here, starting with that grisly stuffed bear she has, which was specifically added as a reference to the bear the Addams family had in their unliving room. Moving over to her desk, we can see a shrunken head in the classy display case, and luckily for Gomez, it is indeed that kind of shrink. In the portrait of Wednesday's dear parents, we can see them posing on a wicker chair, which is the same chair that they posed with in the original 1960s sitcom. Speeding up here at the end, the phone number we see in Wednesday is a dual reference to the debut of the Addams Family musical and the year the Addams Family started. Notice how every episode had the word "whoa" in it? Well, let's discuss how each of those episodes ties into the plot of that episode. We'll go chronologically here so you can follow along. Episode 1 should be self-explanatory, as it's just Wednesday's namesake. Episode 2, we have Wednesday, the only one who saw Rowan's death. Episode 3 opens up with Wednesday having been kidnapped by strangers. The legacy of Crackstone is called into question, and Weems seems less trustworthy. The 4th episode surrounds the Night of the Raven, so again, self-explanatory. The 5th sees Gomez arrested for alleged murder from decades prior. The 6th episode, Wednesday trades a birthday celebration for a murder investigation. 7th, we meet Fester, who we do know by now. And last but not least, the resurrection of a murdering monster, and a loss of someone on our side. Finishing off this list, we have great news. Fans watched a total of 341 million hours of the newly beloved show in just the first week, a number that will only grow. Numbers not even the flagship Stranger Things have reached. Ladies and gentlemen and everybody else in between, that's all we have for you. What did you think of Wednesday? It's making a lot of buzz, and we sure did enjoy it. Were there any facts that we noticed that you didn't? If so, let us know in the comments below. And as always, everybody, thanks for watching.